Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Wake Up Missoula. It is first Friday. It's Friday, February 7th, the first of February's Friday month. I have your art guide for you guys later today in the show, telling you about all the new art installations that are happening in and around the downtown Missoula area. First Friday is a great event for people to just be able to get out and about. Even though this week we've had a good amount of snow, but it's definitely going to look a little bit more snowier this weekend as we get into it. So, as speaking of which, let's talk about some city council stuff. We're going to kick things off with the legislative update. Jessica Miller, lobbyist for Missoula, dives into the details of bills that could affect local communities. So, kicking things off, here is Jessica Miller.
We have a fair number of pretty big bills coming up for hearing this week. I will just go through those fairly quickly. We have House Bill 154, which establishes a housing fairness tax credit, and House Bill 305, which establishes the mobile home park dispute resolution program. The first one has a hearing Thursday, the second one has a hearing on Wednesday. House Bill 305 is offers tenants a first right of refusal to purchase their mobile home park when it comes up for sale, and that one is sponsored by Representative Carlin from here in Missoula. So we're supporting both of those. Both of those really help us move in the direction of our housing goals for the city.
All right. So yeah, trailer parks is a big issue here in and around because a lot of the land gets sold. NeighborWorks, which is a nonprofit organization, has been instrumental on keeping people in their trailer parks as offers for the land they rent under become too good for landlords to refuse, and in many cases where these places have been targeted over the last couple of years by developers. Right of refusal essentially means there are laws being put in place protecting these low-income assets. Trailer parks, for the most, have been the mainstay for many people looking for to keep affordable housing as it compares to the larger rentals. Danny Carlino, City Council, reacts to some of the bills that were passed, and this is what he has to say, and Jessica Miller responds as well.
Some of them passed with no opponents, and I'm just wondering what our expectation is of our lobbyists on things like that. Like if we have our city position as opposing, do we expect them to speak out at one of the hearings against it, or is it okay for them to just do work behind the scenes? But I just noticed that some of them passed with no opponents, but we're on our sheet of paper, we're supposed to be opposing them. And I'm just wondering what our expectations are with that.
So we actually have some things in a priority listing in the database that we use for them. And so some of them are things, we try to focus our lobbyist time on things that are, directly related to our very highest priorities, property taxes and things like that. And then we also coordinate with them on whether or not it's useful for Missoula to be in the room on some of those topics. So that is a discussion that we have with them on a regular basis on who's supporting what and in what ways.
Yeah. So you think that you're being ignored during public comment. Imagine how Missoula feels when we go to the state legislature, which we are definitely the minority voice comparatively to the state of Montana, which is very GOP Republican mindset. Essentially, the city has to pick their battles wisely because if you look at it from an outside perspective, Missoula is the black sheep of the Montana family. The last one the city wanted banned was animal acts, but the state government passed the bill that would allow for circuses and other animal acts to perform in communities regardless of the ordinance that the city passed years ago. And overall, the city is more or less concerned for the impact of the Trump administration as they are targeting federal employees. Mayor Andrea Davis talks more on this matter with Dale Bickle, the Chief Administrative Officer for the city of Missoula.
We have communicated across the city to basically be mindful of the revised memo that was submitted by the federal government in terms of specifics around the president's priorities. I'm sure you're familiar with that language, and it's not very specific. And so a number of local governments have been waiting for greater specificity from federal agencies. My understanding is that the president's order or the directive does not require agencies to submit information to the administration until the end of this week. So I believe it's February 7th that does not give us any indication when we may actually get updates. So we're hopeful that it would be sooner rather than later. But that's so far what we're tracking. Mr. Bickle, would you like to add to my comments?
We've, any federally funded positions that we have currently, we asked them to continue working as normal. But, you know, if we're recruiting in the federally funded positions, we're trying to pause those.
Okay. So a lot of these federal freezes and buyouts and all that kind of stuff that's happening on the federal level, you know, these are a bunch of shakeups at the top levels of government and are continuing despite the Trump administration's attempt to buy out people from their federal contracts, which are protected and very much throwing a lot of people off since those types of jobs are not appointed. Otherwise, the whole government would be shut down after every election, despite the fact you need these consistencies throughout government, regardless of those hearings on leadership. I always think about, you know, new managers who have a period of time to get used to their new position, and employees and workers already know what their job is, and managers tend to ease into the position and have to reorganize the staffing, scheduling, all that kind of stuff. So the city employs more than 600 people here in the city of Missoula for various areas beyond police and fire departments, and a clean slate makes it harder to start over for cities and to keep things operating. And Christian Jordan, who's also a federal employee on city council, talks about these impacts and the mayor responds to her concerns.
And so my job personally is on the line, but I was curious if there were any grant funding portals that we lost access to permanently, because I know that there was a general freeze. Everybody lost access, but that was very short. The grant I'm working on, the portal is still frozen. We cannot get in and look at our account at all. And I'm wondering if there are any positions or programs in the city that are having the same experience. But otherwise, from the state, we've heard the same thing as what you've just mentioned overall.
I'm sorry, that must be challenging in your work and your position. We have not, that we're aware of, had any particular accounts frozen like that. And like Mr. Bickle said, any positions that are not currently filled that would be federally funded, we have, you know, put a pause on that, no hiring on that. But in addition, but outside of that, we haven't had any jolts yet, I guess you could say.
Okay. And then as we get further into the meeting, public comment took advantage of the idea of, with the budgets being cut and a lot of things being cut, Dave Everham, Rattlesnake neighborhood, talks about special improvement districts as it works.
We moved in 2006. At that time, we had no SIDs. Now we have 6, totaling $1,038 a year, with Parks and Rec and Roads District being $900. This has more than doubled in the last 4 years and has nothing to do with state, but it is a city-imposed tax. Now a lot of this money is being used for transient encampments and cleanup for drug addicts, alcoholics, and lazy, selfish people that don't care about anything but their own needs. This is obvious at the Poverello and Johnson Street shelters. The garbage there piles up around the areas, then city crews clean it up, and the transients and homeless sit there getting loaded, texting, and watch. We need work programs for these people. Change your present homeless practices. They don't work. Broadway corridor will never change as long as the Poverello Center and the city continues to pamper homeless people and derelicts that use the shelters. The Poverello needs to completely restructure their management and take responsibility for the people they cater to.
All right. So that was Dave Everham expressing his concerns about the tax system as a whole. It's rough out there for a lot of people, and frankly, the city is backing down after their pandemic-era funding began to dry up. And their last push for the Johnson Street funding is essentially going to end of August 2026. David also gave a graphic depiction of assault in an area of Missoula, but believes the city should further spend Missoulian money on these people and is afraid that these people will ruin the city. So some of those things happening there. So we're going to move ahead, as the budget season isn't fun, and many of these federal grants and the city was able to get were from previous administrations, which roughly sees Missoula getting awarded multi-million-dollar grants for places like the Higgins Corridor, East Missoula, and Midtown plans for growth. Essentially, the counter to many of these comments is that the pants are getting bigger and we better grow properly, because if the pants are too loose, we're only going to have smaller pants in the future. And I don't know, that's a horrible analogy, but regardless of that, the cost of living is rough in Missoula, and Mayor Andrea Davis talks a little bit more in response to some of those comments.
You'll see that people have expressed that they think Missoula is a difficult place to retire, and it's a difficult place to afford a home. Those two things are naturally connected. Some of these things, I think we all know this. It's exactly why we're leaning into things like the land use plan and the Unified Development Code, so we can do our part in making sure that more homes are built and preserved that are affordable to more people in our community. So those are the kinds of things that I think it's helpful to see that we're on the right track around some of the policies that we are undertaking. A lot of these things are not anything that we can just flip a switch, but it's definitely things that we can start to work on and make improvement.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, there's just been a lot of things the city's been trying to do. Heck, even trying to follow the Airbnbs and figuring out, this carried over to community of the whole, where the city looks to prioritize based on a survey conducted by Polko, a national community survey. Polko is a survey platform that created this city planning survey for residents to fill out and reflect their needs for a growing Missoula. And so Eric Hallstrom, Chief Operations for the City of Missoula, talks more about these results and how they reflect overall of Missoula's needs and wants.
We've talked about this at budget conversations and in our departmental updates, and so it's just fun to be at a point where we can provide some results and move into the next phase of this project. I wanted to reiterate something the mayor said. What is this survey? It's a survey of the facets of livability in this community. It reaches a lot of subjects, some of which are very specific to city services, some of which are more general and applicable to broader aspects of what it means to live in Missoula. So it covers a wide variety of topics. I also wanted to note this isn't the only way the city gets feedback from its residents. There's a couple good examples. The Parks and Recreation Open Space and Trails process has engaged in really good data-driven process, and a lot of the results from their survey you're going to see are align with the results that came in the National Community Survey. Similarly, the Our Missoula Code Reform and Land Use Plan process has engaged a number of folks in the community, has sought out information and focused on sort of development and development trends, and I think you also see a lot of consistency between the feedback we received in that process and the feedback that you'll see in the National Community Survey.
All right, and so we'll get into this poll a little bit further as we talk about some of the key findings. And essentially, this is more cheaper, essentially. This is yet another survey meant to reflect the needs of the community, which, for lack of a better interpretation, kind of same old, people want everything cheap and more of everything. Brandon Barnett with the Polko surveys continues to talk about the focus of the people who took this survey and some of the key findings of this.
There's a lot of additional data in the full report that we won't cover today, but today's presentation will focus on a few areas that we found to be most noteworthy within Missoula's survey results. The first of our key findings was that Missoula's parks and recreation opportunities are highly valued by residents, with ratings higher than the national benchmark. The highest ratings were for recreational opportunities and fitness opportunities, both exceeding the national benchmark. About 8 in 10 residents expressed satisfaction with the quality of parks and recreational opportunities and the availability of paths and walking trails. Similar ratings to the national benchmark were also given to the recreation programs or classes, recreation centers or facilities, and city parks. The next of our key findings was that Missoula's educational and cultural opportunities are a valued aspect of community livability. Residents rated their community positively in education, arts, and cultural opportunities. The highest ratings were for public library services and opportunities to attend special events and festivals.
All right, so there's a little taste of the survey, and I'm going to give you kind of like the brief rundown. I'll spare you much of the rest. The audio quality is kind of rough, but outdoor recreation and open space is something key to Missoula, which is why we have that open space bond money. Seems kind of funky, as last year the city fought with local leaders on banning overnight camping and general squatting in the city-county parklands. It also feels weird that all the complaints from park safety, over 80% of residents were pleased by the safety in these parks, which seems to be weird correlation to this particular study. So Brendan also spoke about the bad parts of Missoula, which begins and ends with new development. So a lot of people are necessarily concerned about new development in general.
Residents of Missoula provided mixed ratings for aspects of community design. Nearly 6 in 10 residents rated the overall appearance positively. However, less than 3 in 10 residents gave positive ratings for well-designed neighborhoods, quality of new development, and well-planned commercial growth. Ratings were even lower for well-planned residential growth at just 12% positive, and the variety of housing options at 9%. The lowest rating was for the availability of affordable quality housing, with only 2% of residents providing positive feedback. The NCS does allow for space for topics of special interest. Missoula opted to ask 3 custom questions in addition to the standard questions. These next slides will display the results from these questions unique to Missoula's survey. In the first question unique to Missoula's survey, residents were asked whether they would support reduction or a tax increase for continuing various services that may be impacted by the end of grant funding. Respondents favor reducing financial support for community organizations and constructing new sidewalks. Opinions are nearly split for services such as constructing new streets, traffic signals, and roundabouts. With 52.
All right. So just a little bit of taste of that, and NIMBY is very strong in Missoula, and many people don't like when you change too much in general, but this was something that really stuck out for me. The thing that got me was the roundabouts. There are a lot of people who constantly push for those, and they work in malfunction junctions, but when you have traditional on-off ramps off the highway, it gets a bit sketchy. And if you haven't been paying attention to some of the words, I'm sorry, it's a little bit rough on the audio, but this overall survey, Mayor Andrea Davis kind of responds to this survey and kind of gives her 2 cents on how it reflects Missoula's needs and wants and how they want to move forward with this.
And while this is not the sole factor in budget decisions, it certainly helps guide our approach to it and identify gaps. So as Eric mentioned earlier, as we approach the budget season, this will be an opportunity for us to dig a little deeper into the sentiments and perceptions of our residents to inform the budget process. Engaging with residents in this way is essential for transparency and accountability, and I'm committed to continuous improvement. This is just one example of a data-driven decision-making that we are conducting across the city. And as Eric mentioned earlier, this is a baseline for us. This is the first time we've utilized Polco. We don't have then anything to go back and compare to, but we will going forward.
All right, so yeah, that's yet another survey, yet more data collection moving forward. And so far, the top 5 priorities for Missoula. You want it all, but not necessarily the bill that goes along with it. Parks and Rec, robust, education and culture, safety with room for improvements, cost of living, better designs in small-scale neighborhoods impacted by large development. So essentially, that was one of the issues that kind of curtailed, because a lot of traditional neighborhoods have a couple lots for sale, and there's like developers looking to rezone it, and then they build something that's a lot larger than the neighborhood was used to seeing, and doesn't really match the flow of the rest of the stuff. So, it's interesting, but also let's talk a little bit about some rezoning in general with land use and planning, which they're doing some properties just off of Eaton Street on a nearly 1,200 square foot property. Infill development is proposed and density that would allow up to 12 units on that lot, opposed to half of that, essentially. Franklin to the Fort is roughly single-level homes mixed with other home types. As the land under these properties sell, developers look to increase units per the city's growth policy. Climate and Parks. Parks talks about opening a crossing for trails to the private property and an easement to promote more connectivity through the North Hills Alleyways property. So this is north of Missoula, the dump, essentially, and Ryan Stutzman, land easement coordinator for Vi Valley Lands Trust, will take on the stewardship of this site that has already been approved, and they're just reworking some of the details.
So this was a 304-acre conservation easement from 2010. Allied Waste, as I said, is the original grantor and still owner of the property. It is adjacent to the Bluebird Preserve and Also the Schilling property, so I don't know if you can see my pointer, but just to orient you, the property in red is the subject property, and then Bluebird Reserve is right here to the west. Schilling is to the south, and then the purple property is the Republic Services current landfill.
And so what they want to do with a lot of this site is just connectivity, improve the trails, and just essentially land acquisitions and continuing to use the open space bond money to create trails and access. But a lot of the time, preservation of these lands, but a lot of time, in lieu of preservation of these lands, will limit access for a lot of reasons. This would give access and better improved trails and such. So Ryan talks a little bit more specifics of this site.
It's a little bit of a unique scenario where the conservation easement will now have two grantees, co-grantees. Five Valleys will remain the grantee of the conservation easement, and the city will be the grantee of the trail easement. So we'll hold all interests and responsibilities related to the conservation values, and the city will hold and maintain all interests to the public trail component.
Okay, so essentially that means the city will pay for a trail through open space bond money. The reason for this trail responsibility to the city is for open space money to be used on developing trails where places like Five Valley Land Trust can use this as a protection of natural habitats and low maintenance parkland. Parkland might be a little bit of a stretch for terminology, but that's just how state manages public lands. It's a 15-year-old arrangement, and it's about due for an update. So the dump being an obstacle in public access, this private-public partnership will reword and the terms of agreement on this land easement. Most of the items will be in committee. We'll go to Monday with informational items from Committee of the Whole will be put into the record for further future study of Missoula growth in a post-pandemic boom of population. So up next, we have some fun videos from kids that we had. We had the Zootown homeschool group that came by, and we have some of those kids who made a short film called The Selfish King, edited by our very own Neil Wells.
Once upon a time, there was a selfish king.
Guards, lend me your ear. I need to be remembered and I need more land, but how? What if you expand your reaches into the far ends of the forest? You'd be known far and wide for your big power over the farms and forests. You'd be remembered for decades, maybe centuries to come. That's it! I shall expand the kingdom! Great idea, me! But Your Highness, that is my idea, and I can also come up with some things, and you can't always take the credit for every single idea of every single other person. Oh, I am so smart, and yet so ridiculous. Montage!
And so the king, fearing that he may be forgotten, went on a quest to secure new territory for his kingdom.
Give me this kingdom now. I'm the king and I demand it. Now give me it. What? Who would you think you are? Just because you're the king of another kingdom doesn't mean you get to barge into someone's castle and demand their land. Guards! Well, what are you gonna... Hey, you two work for me. She pays better. Take him to the dungeon. What? What dungeon? Hey, wait, no, take him back. Well, how dare you? How rude. What did I do to get down here? I used to be a king and now I'm a peasant. That queen, I don't like her at all. The dungeon floor is so cold. The way I feel for your kingdom, all you have to do is be kind. That's it. What is he doing back here? Shut your mouth! I'm sorry. sorry. I knew you would be, because I did this for your own good. Everyone needs to have kindness in their life. Guards! Take him back to his own kingdom.
Tell it to the judge of your own throne.
I am the judge. I hate kindness. It sucks! And nobody's gonna remember me. You don't have to be kind or get more land to be remembered. All you have to do is be really horrible and selfish. People will remember me? They really won't want to, but they will. Yes!
And so, the selfish king learned nothing. The end.
Robots! Fighting the evil Skellymen!
You never steal our Bubble Hill, Skellyman! I will take over the Bubble Hills! Go, Robots!
MCAT Animation Drop-In Workshops every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. located in the Missoula Public Library, 455 East Main Street.
I'll get you next time, Robots! Next time!
Go, Robots!
You thought we were done? Meow. Did you? We aren't done making great community content yet. TV may be dead, but MCAT isn't. Here at MCAT, you can make your own short films, podcasts, animations, or shows. Here, the only limit is your imagination.
All right, let's talk about some movies that are coming out this week. And it's time for Pre-Critic, where I prejudge a movie based on absolutely nothing but my biases towards movies in general. Kicking things off is Love Hurts. It's the basically the kind of the spiritual follow-up to Everything Everywhere All at Once. Remember the guy from the Goonies who also was Short Round, Data? You know, he's back using Kung Fu in a story about a man who used to be a hitman, gives it up for love, and here we are yet again. You messed with the wrong guy trope kind of film that has been making waves since Westerns brought that person you least suspect into the spotlight. Watch as they have a realtor, the most evil transitional job for people who went from selling cars in high school to becoming commission-hungry monsters. Hey, but at least they were... at least killers have morals. All right, moving on. We also have Hard Eyes. This is the next insert horror genre in a holiday kind of thing. So this one is more or less the idea of if I get a girlfriend, most likely I'm going to get killed. And this is the kind of movie that's what it is. So it's targeted for couples during Valentine's Day. This killer goes after couples and has your typical slasher film. This is more or less an excuse to avoid Valentine's Day altogether, as a holiday has some kind of psycho killer to target not just one, but both couple at the same time. And regardless of how tough you think you are with one person, taking on two at the same time, you better use logic on that side. All right, there's a bunch of movies coming out this weekend. I'm going to breeze right through them starting right now. Bring Them Down. Sheep herders have to raise sheep in Ireland while dealing with family and rival sheep herders when Babe the pig wins the sheep competition and makes the man question his future. Just kidding. This movie is a drama about sheep herding. Nothing special. Parthenope. A woman who is very attractive in a town with her namesake and has adventures trying to have fun as the men tear each other apart just to get a chance to be with her. Then we have When I'm Ready. No, this is Armand, sorry. Armand, when a 6-year-old kid does something terrible and the teacher has to deal with the unruly behavior as the one who should have known better, the movie. And then finally we have, when I'm ready, Last Road Trip for Humanity, as there is a planet killer rocket into Earth. I mean, I swear they make these movies to make up apathetic to the end of the world. Basically, you just need to know young kids living it up one last time on this road trip. All right, so that pretty much does it for that. I have a new Dubbin Stuff for you guys from the 1954 short, Tobor the Great.
Oh, that was a long road trip.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Well, I came back with the husband. Here he is. His name's Jeff.
Nice to meet you.
He's pretty nice. You just have to water him 3 times a day.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry about me. I can water myself.
Grandpa, it's good to see you. What's going on?
Oh, it's so good to see you, young one.
I've been doing all sorts of experiments. I want to show you.
What are you going on about?
Not quite yet.
Yes, I gotta present you with your new father. See? Isn't he great? I was just worried you would need a father figure so you become less liberal. It's for the best.
Oh, hey there, kiddo. I'm, Jeff.
Nice to meet you. Grandpa, he's terrible. Let's go.
Oh, don't mind him. He's still stuck on the chicken nuggets.
I just keep buying them for him.
Don't you think you're moving a little too fast? Sure, I understand she has a smart house mansion kind of situation, but it just feels so wrong after all. Have you ever seen any horror movie ever? This just doesn't feel right.
Well, I'll take your, thing into consideration, but no.
All right. I'm going to show you my experiment. I managed to make a tunnel underneath this house, and I've hidden it behind this bookshelf. So everyone gather around. I'm going to show you all about the secret passageway.
Should we really be encouraging this, Diane?
Dad, please. He's spirited. And, right?
What's going on over there? That's kind of strange.
Honey, stay away from those weird wall lights. Don't worry about me, Mom. I got this. Sorry, Jeff, was it?
No worries.
He doesn't usually act like this, but...
Oh, it's nothing.
You just gotta go with it.
Well, it might be something good.
I don't understand these kids these days with their waving their hands in front of lights. Okay, that's very interesting, Jeff. So he found a tunnel.
Whoa, he's got a fireman pole?
Cool.
Well,
that's very special of you, young man.
I don't know, I just got really bored.
Oh!
It's not that big a deal or whatever. It's just a hole. And besides, I have like a kill switch. We will not use the word kill in this house. Cross my heart.
Well, Jeff, we're gonna have to have the talking. We might as well do it in a dark and scary place
Don't touch my bug juice.
I think what you mean is don't touch my bug juice, please.
Mind your manners, dear. All right, but it's radioactive.
What a bright young boy he is. Able to decipher anything and make something so wonderful.
Time is a construct or whatever.
I don't know anything about that, but I think we're gonna head out. Yes, let's have some alone time, Miss. You and me, Jeff. Now, can I ask you this question? Do you spell it with a J or the wrong way?
Mom, I didn't go over the proper safety procedures when they went downstairs. I'm sure they're just gonna be behind the door talking about you behind your back. Oh no, Mom. They're talking about me behind my back.
Your grandson is quite the, inventor. Should we break his stuff?
Oh no, please don't.
I think I heard him.
Oh, please don't touch my stuff.
Yeah, let's totally break his stuff. Let's do it. It'll be hilarious.
Hey guys, welcome back. Let's talk about some things that are happening today, which is First Friday. And First Friday is an event that is held every first Friday of the month. And this is your art guide for everything that's happening in and around the downtown Missoula area. If you guys are planning on going out and about, here is some of the recommendations from here. It's the little things happening at the Clay Studio of Missoula. The little things at the Clay Studio of Missoula highlights small-scale ceramic works. It be functional or sculptural. It emphasizes the significance of subtle and the detailed and the thoughtfully conceived. The works include in the exhibit capture attention through their Meticulous craftsmanship, innovative concepts, and compelling techniques. Exhibit aspires to showcase even the smallest works can evoke powerful emotions, tell compelling stories, and create lasting impact. And so there's one example right there. Then we got another one called Transitions. This one right here is happening at Wildfire Ceramic Studio. In the show Transitions, they explore the transitions seen and felt within the world around us, as well as within our internal rhythms. Here, they captured the brief moments, mundane yet beautiful, through the clay and painted. They express the gratitude of the fleeting, liminal, and sometimes boring experiences of life. So take a moment, take a breath, and sit with us in between. Then we have at the Confluence Center, Finding Hope. The Confluence Center is hosted of many different nonprofit events and more. They have an art program, Torrance, is thrilled to present a magical evening of art and community. The exhibit, Finding Hope, features a range of artistic mediums and visions analyzing our world, the tragedies held in impeding, and ultimately how we can rise above it. Painter Elaine Ficilli combines images of current events and personal emotions with natural symbols and beauty to explore grief and love. Then we got Lee Silliman. This is Dancing Waters of Yellowstone. And so, as you can see here, this is photography, and Gallery 709 in Montana Art and Framing is exhibiting black and white photography from now until the end of the month. Dancing Waters, the Lakes, Rivers, and Waters of Yellowstone National Park by Lee Silliman, who ventured into Yellowstone backcountry 3 weeks every year from 1990 to 2006, photographed a 8 by 10 inch view camera, which is rarely seen watery realms. Then we got Jason C. Poole is going to be featuring at the Montana Natural History Center with illustrator and paleo artist Jason C. Poole. Jason has worn many hats: adjunct professor of paleontology, scientific illustrator, art teacher, paleontology field instructor, and has excavated dinosaurs on 3 continents, including Africa and South and North America. All sorts of different places are 3 dinosaurs Jason has worked on. All were new science all were new to science when discovered, and 2 are supermassive titanosaurs, which are just like, if you think about dinosaurs, just think about much bigger. Jason C. Poole is also a paleontological artist who has published in National Geographic, whose artwork appears in many museums and private collections, and he resides in Missoula and can often be found sketching in the studio with sketching in the studio and in the great outdoors, or you may find him at the Montana Natural History Center. Jason has taught various drawings and painting classes, has hosted lectures of Montana's ancient past, and is currently spending Tuesdays through Fridays at the Montana Natural History Center, preparing for conserving 150 million-year-old dinosaur fossils collected by Elevation Science Institution in Carbon County, Montana during the 2024 field season. So Jason C. Poole will be featured tonight at the Montana Natural History Center. Then we got Grace Lawless at the Wren Hotel. This is the Popham AM pop-up gallery at the Wren. It features the vibrant, imaginative works of Grace Lawless. Her series Playground explores the impermanence of all things and the boundless creativity of childhood, an invitation to reconnect with imagination and embrace possibility through bold colors and raw emotion. Grace's paintings remind us to play, to feel deeply, and to dream beyond what is into and what could be. And then wrapping things up is the Blaze Chamber, a Wraith Studio, which is a new one just 426th North Higgins. The Blaze Chamber is a self-taught artist who works many hats: illustrator, concept artist, 3D modeler, graphic designer, and teacher. His creative journey began unexpectedly in Kansas Business School, where he discovered a passion for drawing and paintings that quickly took over his life. Since then, not a day has passed without him creating, knowing for his ability to blend realism with fantastical. Blaze crafts immersive worlds that transport viewers to places beyond imagination. So a little example there, and those are your art guide for your weekend. If you want to go, you can go tonight from 5 to 8 p.m. All these great organizations, a lot of people come together. There's also a bunch of First Friday night events that are not associated with art. That was your art guide. And right now I'm going to talk about some of the events that are happening. If you're interested in learning about stained glass, Lifelong Learning Center is doing a class lesson this morning at 9:30 a.m. They always have these classes online. You can sign up online. So you pay per class. It's easy for anybody to do it. Also, they have a great GED program for people who just want to get their GED. They also have a plumbing, so do your house home repair, also at the Lifelong Learning Center, starting at 10 a.m. this morning. Missoula Food Bank meal distribution is open from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, with the longer days on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They do not discriminate, and if you're looking to have cheap, nutritious food, all you got to do is fill out their surveys, and then you're good to go. Family fun time at Mismo Gymnastics, 10 a.m. Some indoor fun for kids to stay active during the winter season. YMCA Secret Seconds Thrift Store is doing a 50% off sale at the Secret Seconds Thrift Store this weekend. Tiny Tales at Missoula Public Library. This is a reading/activity event that happens every Friday at 10:30 a.m. at the Missoula Public Library in the art room and sometimes the Imaginarium. Preschool playtime at Roost Acre Sports Center. Much like Mismo Gymnastics, they also have the indoor fun stuff at 10:45 a.m. Then, of course, you can always go to the YMCA, which is a great resource for a lot of people who are looking to go to a gym or at least have a place where they can shower. Lunch at the Missoula Senior Center at the 11:30 a.m. Monday through Friday. The Polverella Center also has their lunch every day at 11:30 a.m. at the Polverella Center. Watercolor and yarns here at the Missoula Public Library on the 4th floor every single Friday at noon on the 4th floor. There's always something going on. All Abilities Art Club. This is aimed at people who live with disabilities, but also included for anybody, hence the All Abilities. This is located at Base every Friday at 1 p.m. Lego Club every Friday at 2:30 p.m. at the Public Library on the 2nd floor. We have happy hour at the Carousel starting at 3:30 p.m. going to about 5:30. It's buy one, get one free. Rides at the Carousel. Author reading, Hassan Davis, The Journey of York. The collaboration with Travelers Rest Connection, Missoula Public Library, Joan Arthur, Hassan Davis, as he reads from his picture book, The Journey of York, 2019. Hassan will be available to sign copies of the book, and it'll be here at 4:30 p.m. at the Missoula Public Library. Also happening is Join Empower Montana and the Missoula Public Library in celebration of viewing the winners' pieces of youth art and essay contest on level 2. This is starting at 5 p.m. This is our own First Friday event. First Friday, also at the Missoula Symphony Association for a special collaboration Missoula Symphony Organization, Travelers Rest Connection, Timeless Treasures for February 7th and March 7th at the Missoula Symphony's headquarters, 200 North Higgins Avenue. Listen to live piano, enjoy refreshments, and look at beautiful art pieces provided by Travelers Rest Connection. And this is at Missoula Symphony Association, starting at 5 p.m. Sundog North will be performing tonight at the Old Post, starting at 7 p.m., playing some bluegrass music. Wildflower is going to be playing some folk at Imagination Brewing Company at 7. Rhino Ross, they're doing a benefiting Missoula firefighters at the Rhino Bar at 7 p.m. The Pack Strings is going to be playing bluegrass at Cranky Sam at 7:30 p.m. ACDA benefit concert at University of Montana. The University School of Theater and Dance is proud to present the American College Dance Association benefit concert Friday, February 7th and Saturday at the 8th in the open space of the PAR TV Center on campus. This is celebration performance. UM's 22nd annual production features performers and choreographers who will be attending the High Desert Regional Conference of American College Dance Association, scheduled for March 22, 2025 at University of Wyoming in Laramie, Wyoming. An extraordinary opportunity to highlight the most university dance students. It is a great chance for the audience to help get them there. That's at 7:30 p.m. tonight. Hear this. Zootown Arts Community Center is presenting their own play and theater. One Fine Day, a natural history museum. 4 friends embark on a journey of self-discovery inspired by the museum itself. The foursome journeys through time, from present day to museum, to their childhood past, and then back again. And so performances are February 5th through the 8th at 7:30 p.m. and February 8th and 9th at 2 p.m. for a matinee. Faculty clarinet recital at the UM Recital Hall. University's Recital Hall, they always have these clarinet kind of things. They're not clarinet things, but they always have these recitals. These are a lot of the make it or break it for a lot of these students who want to do these kind of recitals. And the faculty are going to be performing their clarinet recital tonight at 7:30 p.m. Josh Farmer will also be wrapping up the night at Union Club starting at 9 p.m. Karaoke at Monk's Bar. And then we got Chase Bjorkson at the Top Hat starting at 10:15 p.m. tonight. And then as we go into your Saturdays, English as a second language class is an education class opportunity at the Missoula Public Library every so often here at 9:30 a.m. every Saturday. Makerspace walk-in hours at 10 a.m. Annual orchard show at Karis Nursery. Karis Nursery is doing their annual orchard show, so you can buy flowers, orchids, and all sorts of fun things there as well. Line dancing at Missoula Senior Center. YWCA Secret Seconds, their second day of their 50% off sale starting at 10 a.m. on Saturday. Story time at Missoula Public Library every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. There's a butterfly release at the Missoula Butterfly House at 11 a.m. Every 2 weeks, there always seems to be a whole new crop of butterflies at the Missoula Insectarium. Winter Storytime, Travelers Rest State Park. Thomas Jefferson's Corps of Discovery included Captain Lewis and Clark and a crew of 28 men to chart a route from St. Louis to Pacific Ocean. All the crew but one volunteered for the mission. York, the enslaved man taken on the journey, did not choose to go. York's contributions to the expedition, however, were invaluable, but as York's independence and status rose on the journey, the question remained what status he would carry on once the expedition was over. Hazan Davis has shared this journey of York more than 500 times in the past 25 years. He's going to be here tonight at the Missoula Public Library at 4:30 p.m., but he's also going to be at the Travelers Rest at 11 on Saturday. Museum Tour at Missoula Art Museum every Saturday at 11 a.m. They're also going to be having their big art auction happening pretty soon. I believe it's happening Saturday night. MCAT Saturday drop-ins, as always, every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. for kids who want to do some stop animation, learn about editing and video making in general. Turner Farms Valentine's Day Market. Turner Farms is doing their farmer stand market outside from 1 p.m. at Turner Farms, just just west of Reserve Street off of 3rd Street. My bad, sorry. Free film acting workshop and film community events. So if you are interested in learning to act for film, Missoula Public Library at 3 p.m. on Saturday. Missoula Art Museum, they're also having their annual art auction. This is their 50th anniversary auction. They'll be hosting it at the Missoula Art Museum starting at 5 p.m. Kids Night at Roots Acro Sports Center. It's a fundraiser for the gymnastics and dance team to help them with their upcoming competition season. Families can drop in day of, but payments must be made either in cash or check, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Kids Night will include games, trampolines, and Ninja Warrior course, the Warped Wall, dance party, crafts, and dinner they hope to see there. Bingo Night at Odd Pitch Brewing at 6 p.m. on Saturday. Kobe Dean, Folk at Imagination Brewing Company at 7 p.m. Galentine's Line Dance Lesson at Montana Moonlight Studio at 8 p.m. Solid State Karaoke at Westside Lanes and Fun Center at 9 p.m. on Saturday. Maggot Soiree at Electronics at Monks. And, that usually has to do with the rugby teams. So, air caution, who knows? A lot of sports peoples. The Tomcats at Union Club playing some music there at 9 p.m. And then wrapping up every Saturday, Chris Moon at the Badlander at 10 p.m. And then as Sunday rolls in, it's time for your Super Bowl stuff. There's Super Bowl breakfast battle at the Trough from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Trough will be having special breakfast battle. They'll have a breakfast feature for each team as they will have special mimosas. They also see which team will win at the Trough. Celebrate before the big game with delicious breakfast. They also want to see representing your team even if they aren't in the Super Bowl game this year. Then we got Accordion Club at 1 p.m. at the Senior Center on Sunday. Get Lit, the Missoula Public Library Pain Savvy Health Literacy. This happens every Sunday at 1 p.m. Drop-in Basketball at City Life Gym. They also having a drop-in volleyball at 5 p.m. at City Life Gym at the same time. Very funny comedy at Open Mic Comedy. If you want to do some Open Mic Comedy, 8 p.m. VFW every Sunday at 8 p.m. Rocking Karaoke at the Sunrise Saloon at 8:30 p.m. every Sunday at the Sunrise Saloon. So those are pretty much all the events that are happening this weekend. I do have a little bit more time, so I'm going to dive into some news items and just talk about some of the snow. And we could expect more of those snow blizzards happening throughout this weekend, as we've already technically had about 6 inches this past week total. As this weekend, they expect the projections to be anywhere between 3 to 7 inches in some areas. There's some travel warnings this week. Winter storm warning went into effect over the last couple of days. And so, it's been interesting just kind of seeing all this kind of stuff happening and unfold. And I think one of the things, in terms of some news that happened recently, is that there is a plane that went missing up in Alaska, and then just in the matter of 8 or 9 days, we've had 3 plane incidents in the United States, 2 on the East Coast in the form of crashes, and the one that just disappeared in Alaska. Frankly, the fact that you never hear too many of these things in plane incidents just kind of goes that there are more people wanting to report on these plane incidents than there are plane incidents in general. So AP reported rescuers searched Friday for any signs of the plane that went missing while carrying 10 people across Alaska's Norton Sound south of the Arctic Circle. Many times the only way to get into rural communities in Alaska are through single-engine type planes. The weather was so bad, but winter in Alaska is commonplace for people traveling by plane as the only option. A U.S. Coast Guard airplane crew is expected to search the missing aircraft last known position. The National Guard and troopers were also helping with the search, the fire department said. Here in Montana, actually, the Department of Justice will handle a case involving former Montana Senator leader Jason Ellsworth, who used his position to allegedly get ill-gotten gains related to a bill that passed that awarded a contract to him in a total of $170,100 by a former business associate, Bryce Eggleston. The GOP-run majority stated that they accepted his guilt as soon as the news broke and wanted to handle this at a later time, but the Democrats insisted and were able to turn over the votes to send it to the Department of Justice. Definitely a black eye in the Montana government as this case continues to move forward Thursday and out of the hands of local legislatures. So get back to work. The why? Just outside of Missoula is, as if you're traveling north, just got a major $5.6 million in development grant through the TIF funding to build out the water infrastructure to an area that would support workforce housing. What's stated as a way to create more housing under the umbrella term workforce housing, the community was able to secure federal grants to build housing, and through the Economic Development District, they can make all these things possible. So the Economic Development District is created and essentially building a taxable zone in this area to support water infrastructure and put in on the future ownership of these lots and lands in terms of taxes. Future taxes is something I've always referred to when talking about creating these types of areas, which would originally be on the developers to secure loans and payments for these infrastructure advancements, and most of the time developers prefer to connect to the grid that's already there. Rather than building a site-specific system for one parcel of property, Grass Valley and other partners will develop a water system large enough to serve 20 users across 70 acres. It will be designed to expand to other properties as development moves in. Total estimated properties are roughly 10,000 homes or 15,000 homes if they build on a 12 units per acre. All right, moving on, tax reduction. So this has something to do with the income tax. As State Bill HB House Bill 337 stated that the top income tax rate from 5.9% to 5.4%, and it would raise the limit on bottom bracket to $100,000 for individuals and $200,000 for joint filers. Essentially, if you make more money, you pay less. You kind of see what's going on. Opponents claim this is yet another way to reduce taxes on the wealthiest and give crumbs to the lower end as the present. However, proponents claim this would help from the top to the bottom regardless. With this and Senate Bill 203, this essentially would reduce tax revenue in Montana by $200 million a year. Overall, this hopes these reductions will reduce taxes in Montana, not just the income tax, but all taxes in Montana by $850 million, according to the Governor Gianforte's budget. Essentially what happened the last 2 years with the $1 billion surplus and those $675 annual checks for property owners over the last 2 years effectively will replace a lot of those numbers. However, small our news cycles is in Montana, it's hard to ignore the plainly obvious imperialism in our own country, from Donald J. Trump simply making remarks about Greenland to the Panama Canal. We were met this week with a display of neocolonialism in the form of removing all the people of Gaza and basically just taking it over. Many elected leaders kind of downplayed it as much as they could, but arrogance of taking over areas that have no means to direct contact seems fruitless at best. With the international community blasted Trump, he doubled down and threatened sanctions on international court systems. Israel leaders and some of their rivals showed support and shock at the revelation that the U.S. would get directly involved. Logically, not so much. Many neighboring allies like Jordan and Egypt were put on the spot to take on the total population of Gaza, which is roughly 2 million people, with 1% killed and 80% displaced. The UN Secretary Leader Antonio Guterres said that he had the right to leave, that they have the right to leave, but being forced out goes along the definition of ethnic cleansing according to international law. Lots of crazy things happening now, and that only seems to be more crazier the closer you look at things. And speaking of which, crazy, Elon Musk's attempt to clean out the federal government gets federal judges to block those plans to buy out many federal workers. But however, as of Thursday and even earlier this morning, 40,000 federal workers out of the 2.3 million people who are working in the federal government have opted into this buyout program. The CIA, which was exempt from this offer, extended the buyout option to all the employees on Tuesday and will implement a hiring freeze amongst some departments. This also comes at the fact that the reductions of the environmental protection affected Smurfit Stone. Back in 2016, when Trump took office the first time, Smurfit Stone is a Superfund site where they resumed testing 6 years after the fact, when a lot of these repeals and a lot of reductions to the budget of the EPA could have overreaching impacts to this and many other departments Trump feels is a waste of time and money until he's told they are not. That's kind of how it is these days. It's like he believes that one thing is not working, so he wants to get rid of it completely, and then they tell him, it's like, actually, this is something that is consistent with, feeding Montana food banks in general, and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, okay, never mind then. So there's a lot of that going on, and it's pretty rough. And he's kind of at his, he doesn't have to be reelected. So he generally has nothing much more to lose on this particular matter. And that's basically where I'm going to end this right now. And I want to thank you guys for joining me. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. It has been an interesting time this week. I took a small little vacation for myself this week, where I still managed to come back for my morning show. And I'm going to continue my Friday and enjoy it. And I hope you guys enjoy yours. It's going to snow this weekend. Get out there on the slopes. There's plenty of fresh powder out there in and around the Missoula Valley. So enjoy it while you can. All right. For Wake Up Missoula, I'm Scott Renf. Take care, guys.